Okay, don't call the crafty police on me, but I don't clean my blending brushes, like, ever. I've tried, but it just takes too long. So I was wondering, is it worth it? And what is the best way to clean them? Because mine are starting to show some wear. Hi, I'm Jess from jesscrafts.com, and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today, I want to show you what is happening with my uncleaned brushes, think about the best way to clean them, and then show you if there is a result. Like, should you clean your brushes? Is it worth it? Because it's a little time consuming. So let's first take a look at the oxide inks before cleaning, because this is where I'm noticing the most trouble. I keep them in a Make It by Marco brush holder on my desk, but I do also keep my regular ones for my Distress ink blending brushes in a drawer with my mini Distress inks. And I've considered moving because I'm just kind of not the person who likes a lot of stuff on my desk. I am a weird mix of messy and clean. I guess it's more like I don't clean my stamps either. I don't clean my stamp brushes, but then I keep my room pretty organized. There's a lot of stuff off camera though too, so I'm in the middle of a couple projects. But let us try blending. And so I don't know if you can tell, but like that is leaving some very definitive brush marks. It has like really much darker areas and lighter areas. You can see my hands are very inky because I've been experimenting with cleaning. And I'm just not getting the like smoothness of blend and the soft edges that I would or should ideally be getting and have gotten in the past. This is just like very blotchy. I've been avoiding my Distress oxide inks because of this problem. So I need to figure out this cleaning thing and hope that it works. And maybe if not, I need to switch away from brushes. But that's the Distress oxide, and that's the trouble that I'm having. I don't think I'm having as much trouble with Distress inks, but it's kind of one of those, well, I'm here, so let's see if it matters. So again, do the soft blend. I'm using Worn lipstick and my pink blender brush for both of them. I only have one blender brush for each color, so all my pinks are going to be used from the same one. I think one of the problems with not cleaning your brushes is that if you're moving to a light color, you could possibly have some dark colors left on your brush, and so I did choose a lighter pink. It's not the lightest. There's like sponge sugar that I have. I also don't have all the Distress inks or all the Distress oxide inks. So, noticings. The color's a little inconsistent, as if there is some old color still left on it. I don't know if it'll focus as much. And it's giving me a softer blend. Like right now, I would certainly reach for my Distress inks over my oxides. This is Bristol Smooth paper too, and I'll make sure I use Bristol Smooth for both testings. But the Distress oxides definitely seem like they need to be cleaned. As mentioned, I did a little experimentation off camera. Well, on camera, but I'm not going to show you all that because it wasn't a very good video. So I heard you could use microfiber cloths. I think this is for people who have like clean brushes and just a little bit of ink, and they clean their brushes every time, because my brushes are very, very dirty. It is taking a lot to get them clean. And I could just use water. So I put some water in a little Tupperware container, and I could just kind of swirl them around, but this is taking a really, really long time. And this whole thing would be covered in pink by the time I got all the ink off, because there's so much. So maybe this is a good method for those who have only lightly inked their brushes. But if you are in the state that I am, I'm gonna have a different recommendation. I have this blending brush cleaner. I think it's made for makeup brushes. I got it on Amazon. I've recommended it before because I have used it. I've just never really gone the full way and cleaned my brushes because, to be honest, I started and it just took so long, I got pretty discouraged. So that's why I'm kind of seeking the right way to do it. You can hold it on the back of your hand and swirl the brush around. The key that I found was, I have this container of water, is to go right to a stamp cleaner. And I know people have suggested this before, but I wanted to test and see like how much of could you just clean it with water? Is this really the best method? Because confession, I didn't own stamp cleaner. I don't really clean my stamps. So you might be thinking, is it worth purchasing stamp cleaner for this purpose? I've also heard mild dish detergent. So if you still don't think you want to purchase stamp cleaner, I will say just water was not enough when I got to the stage that my particular brushes are at. So if I just dip this straight in water, a bunch of pink would have come out. I have the stamp cleaner on it now. As you can see, a bunch of ink will just come right out. But it comes out so much faster with the stamp cleaner than without. And I know you're on some level, you're just gonna have to trust me with that. It's really hard to run a good experiment where I time each one, because each one of my brushes has a different amount of ink in it. This is not something I'm gonna be doing in a scientific way, but I've cleaned like 10 brushes at this point with varying methods and kind of compared them, and I'm getting so much ink out so much faster by going right to the stamp cleaner and by using this scrubbing pad versus just using like a microfiber cloth or just kind of rubbing it along the bottom of this Tupperware here. So a lot of colors already come out. I'm going to keep going for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to have to let these brushes dry. Another reason I kind of like this method is this is a lot easier to clean up than if I had to use microfiber cloths. Like I said, I think I'd go through one cloth for each of my brushes just because they're so saturated with ink. This is me just literally swirling it around in the soapy water just to kind of get it started. The Distress Oxide inks brushes for me were a lot more time consuming to clean. I think that both inks react with water, and so that is why you can get a lot of cleaning done with just water. But because this water already had the soap in it, I knew that would be a good place to start. I would just create like a lot of laundry trying to clean all my brushes. But once your brushes are like in a maintenance state, maybe that won't be so bad. But this, I can just really easily clean this in the sink rather than making a whole extra load of laundry with all of those microfiber cloths that I would need. And then I can just, easily clean this as well. And I like this because it saves a lot of water versus staying at your sink and, kind of continuously running the water or anything like that. That would not be a smart choice. For your water bill. And so, yeah, we're gonna keep going with making this as clean as we can possibly get it. The Distress Oxide, like I said, they were even more of a concern. But honestly, when I first started trying to clean my brushes and I was just using water, it was taking so long. I was still thinking to myself, like, this is impossible. Nobody actually does this. Like Laura Basson, like ink blending goddess, love her, right? I was like, did she just get new brushes? Because that's what I would do. I'm like, I'm not built for this kind of cleaning. Maybe it's more fun for some people when it's crafty cleaning, but not for me. I was just like, I don't want to be spending my limited craft time in here scrubbing brushes down. But I think the key is maintaining the brushes. So I might have to change my messy ways. We'll see. One more note in case I did mention or it's not obvious. I think that after you cleaning them with the stamp cleaner, you should make sure that you're rinsing all of your brushes with some clean water to get any of that extra soap out. I'm slowly getting through all the brushes here. Although this method is so much faster. I do know that in a previous video, I said that I don't buy stamp cleaner anymore. So here I am using stamp cleaner. And I bought it specifically for this because, like I said, I was getting really frustrated that my Distress Oxide inks were just not working properly. And I looked online and, everyone was recommending using stamp cleaner. So I figured they were probably right. Maybe I should have tried dish soap first. But as we know, I am lazy about this, so I don't want, I could have put a small bottle of dish soap. Do they sell the travel size dish soap anymore? Put like that in my craft room, but I thought, I'll just get the stamp cleaner because then, it can clean the stamps well. Although again, mild dish detergent probably should have been fine. I don't really have a good reason why I actually did the stamp cleaner. Maybe I should have just did the dish detergent because then my other video would still stand too, that, I officially don't buy stamp cleaner, but I'm probably not going to clean very many stamps with my stamp cleaner because the only reason I'm doing all this is because my brushes weren't working as well. But if my stamps are stamping fine, I am not going to be bothering to clean them. My brushes are now clean. They've dried for over 24 hours because I wanted to make sure they were really dry. And now I'm going to retest the brushes. If I hadn't mentioned it earlier, the reason that some of them have this little clip around the top, and these are for Make It by Marco, is because this distinguishes which ones are my Distress Oxide blending brushes, and then the ones without it are my Distress ink brushes. So I have one pink brush for each, and then this is the Oxide one, and I know that. Okay, so the Oxide is where I was struggling. I was hoping that if I had a brand new I had a clean brush that it would work. And I actually ordered some new brushes because I'm going to test that too, because I want to know, did cleaning kind of get it back to its new state? All right, I'm going to try not to put too much ink on here. And I'm just going to swirl it around. I mean, it's already much lighter because there's no residual color on it. I am still noticing that it's kind of like there's just heavier areas. I'll try to be maybe a little bit more aggressive. I have something I want to show you, but I want to bring it a little bit closer up. Okay, so I notice that it's really hard to get like a consistent soft blend around the edge. And there are some, oh, you can see a fingerprint because I should be using, there's a scrapbook.com silicone mat and other silicone mats out there that kind of, so you don't have to touch your paper because I'm touching my paper too much. But yeah, it is much better. I don't know if that is obvious to you, but I can tell you that this is much softer. There's not the scratchy lines from the brush that was kind of hardened from the ink. So I think that for distress oxides, if you're finding that your blending is getting just not as good and you haven't cleaned your brushes in a while, absolutely you should clean your brushes. I'll also test a new brush to just kind of see, is this after cleaning result what I should expect a brush to do? And then we'll come here. Also, if you had the silicone mat, it would hold your ink cube in place. And that's a really nice benefit of it as well. Okay. It is much softer because, again, there's no residual color, so it's going to take me more time to build up my color. And here, I almost feel like I saw two different colors because of residual ink, so that's another reason to clean your brushes. But if you find it's not a big deal for you, like, you know, whatever pink you used last is not going to be, you used a light color or something, but if you use a dark color, I could see it definitely being a problem. It is a little bit more consistent and smooth. I think it's pretty minimal, but I notice a difference in cleaning the distress brushes beyond just that there is no residual ink on them. So I think it's worth it, but I would be less inclined. So if I'm being honest, because we've all well established that I don't clean very much and don't really enjoy even crafty cleaning, I am probably gonna make a point to clean my oxides more, my oxide brushes more than my distress brushes, because for the most part, I'm gonna be fine with a little bit of extra color coming into my distress. So I also have brand new brushes, just in case. I wanted to see, does it still compare? Have I done any sort of permanent damage to my brushes? So this is the Distress Oxide, and it seems pretty comparable to my after cleaning brushes. It's a little bit more like the ink is coming off the brush a little bit more easily, if that makes any sense. I'm being able to get just a little bit more of a softer blend than here. There's still a little bit of choppiness, so I will say I think that my Distress Oxide after cleaning is a lot better, and I think that you should definitely clean your Distress Oxide brushes, but it didn't get it quite back to the level of a new brush. I think that over time, especially if you're not cleaning it regularly, the oxide ink is stiffening up the brush just a little bit. And these should all be the same company, so they should be pretty comparable there. The Distress ink, I remembered to use my scrapbook.com mat, which does a pretty good job of holding down the paper, and the ink pad. So a little bit less likely to get fingerprints, because that's definitely a problem for me. And I'm not really noticing anything super immediate. I will say that maybe it's hard because this color is dry, so this does look a little bit like softer and lighter, so there may be a buildup of color on my old brush that I need to do a bit more cleaning for, but honestly, the cleaning helped, and the new brush isn't so much better that I'm concerned. I would just clean my Distress ink brushes if they start underperforming. And then Distress Oxide inks, I would clean even more frequently, and caution that if you don't clean them, you may start to deteriorate the quality of your brush over time with that, something about that ink. I don't think it's a negative Distress Oxide inks anyway. I'm not trying to say anything about them, just that, like, you know, certain things do need to be cleaned. I know no one wants more chores in life, but I think this is the one we're gonna have to do. You cannot clean your stamps like I do, and for the most part you're gonna be okay, but you really gotta clean those brushes that you're using with your Distress Oxide inks from my experience. If you like this video, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template tutorial. And check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.